If you were to think of Scotland, most people, including myself, would say William Wallace, right? A legend whose name still gets talked about and thought of almost 800 years later, which is crazy. Standing behind me, that's the Wallace Monument, and today's story and journey, I'm going to try my best to explain to you the real life story, and we'll go to the places and explain the battle that made William Wallace famous. If you've seen the movie Braveheart, you know who I'm talking about. Now this takes us back to like the 1200s, a long time ago. If you follow the journey so far, you would know Edward I, who I've mentioned at Conwy Castle in Wales. So you really should understand the trajectory of this story quite well. I believe this was built in the late 1800s or mid 1800s. What a monument, cuz. There's a plane right now. Can you see that? Flying straight through the middle. Now there's a lot to explain, but the key story and the key point is about this man and a couple other individuals who really pushed and lit the torch for Scottish independence from the English. It's a good story. And there's a battleground down here at Stirling Bridge where we can actually go and see where it took place. Oh, there's a statue up there, bro. I want to get up here because I believe we can see down to Stirling Bridge. Alright, brother, we're going up. What I want to see here is the sword. William Wallace's sword is in here. I know it's dark, but also the viewpoint. Here we go, lad. That's basically the same height as me. Bruv, this is no joke. This is no joke, man. It is so high. To understand the moments before the battle and the years that led up to it, the English had taken over a bit of control in Scotland. There was a bit of a power vacuum created when, correct me if I'm wrong or add any additional things in the comments please, but the king was riding home drunk one night on his horse and fell off, died, and the heir to the throne.
Come on through.
Wow. Oh, sir, you can come down if you want.
No, I'm waiting for these folks right here.
The heir to the throne was like a 9-year-old girl, and then she died on the way back from Norway. So a bit of a power vacuum in Scotland, and that's when the English started getting their fingers into Scotland. And the English at the time had a war with France, and they asked Scotland to help out and give troops, which they didn't really like. Thank you. So I believe the Scottish signed a treaty with France, which led King Edward to not be too happy. He then invaded Scotland and basically ransacked their main area, which was a huge port city, only second to England's biggest port. Wow, we can see right there. That's the battle spot, right there, where that football field is. That's where the battle went down. And so when Edward came in and raided into Scotland, he killed a lot of people, men, women, children. Wow, it's very windy. So this is where the resentment comes into play. And another key character here, Andrew Murray, or Moray, if I pronounced it wrong. He was fighting the English at English strongholds in the north of Scotland. This is towards the end of the middle to the end of the 1200s. Simultaneously, while William Wallace was fighting English resistance down south. His father, William Wallace's father, had been killed, and the legend goes that then his wife was murdered by an English policeman. And then William Wallace killed the policeman in retaliation, basically setting in stone the war of independence that was going to happen. It's so crazy windy up here, so my apologies. Bro, this is so high, cuz this is scary. What a monument though. I'll shield you a bit from the wind. We definitely need to get down to low ground. Wow. So this is perfect. You can see exactly the battlefield where the famous Battle of Stirling Bridge went down. Crazy river, huh? The way its pattern. That is why they were so successful at this battle. Anyway, William Wallace and Andrew Moray come together and create like a big unified movement against the English. And this river was basically the divide between the north, Scotland, and the south. Stirling Bridge was the main connection point. That there is Stirling Castle, which was the main English garrison. If you hear me say garrison, it just means like stronghold or English sort of fortification, right? So they were all down there, waiting to come across into the north. So this is where now we should go down to Stirling Bridge. It's so windy. Let's go back down. Cool view though, huh? Such a good view. Andrew Murray and William Wallace, they were on this hill. I think it's called Abbey Craig. It's got a, I don't know what that name means, but this was basically a mountain, a hill, where they were positioned here. That's why this monument's here. And they were watching the English, waiting to see what they would do, sort of baiting them to come across. So let's get down and continue the story. The funny thing is, this battle at Stirling Bridge happened on September 11th, 1297. Why is that funny? Well, today's the 10th, so tomorrow's the 11th. Almost exactly like 700 and, what would that be? 28? 700 and something years ago tomorrow, exactly. Impressive monument. And we start the trek back down. If you remember in some of my last videos, you know King Edward I, who came after Henry III of England, also was called Hammer of the Scots for his brutal campaigns up in Scotland. That was his nickname. And also Longshanks, Edward Longshanks. So the resentment, right? You can imagine the English come take over. They start charging very high tax, making everybody work for them, and you understand where the resentment comes from. And then Wallace, to have your father killed and then your wife killed, like, what else have you got to live for anymore, you know? You would just have so much rage inside you. I'm moving with a bit of pace because there's some Scottish liquid sunshine on the way, some rain, and I want to show you the Stirling Bridge. This is wild. So the actual battle took place right here, which is now a rugby field. That's the Wallace Monument, Cuz, could you imagine being Scottish and you're playing an English team on this field? Can you imagine the energy from this place? Knowing that your great granddad like slaughtered the English opponent's granddad 7 times before. That's crazy. Imagine the energy here as you're fighting, knowing that William Wallace had a battle here. For Scotland, that would be crazy. I would have loved, if I was Scottish, I would love to play here. It would be epic. So anyway, the river, you can see it from the drone. It runs around the back there. It's a crazy shape, isn't it? And the legend goes that up on the hill, Abbey Craig, which is the name of it, Andrew Murray and William Wallace are up there watching the English on the September 11th, 1297, I believe. And the commander, the officer of the English troops, it wasn't Edward I this time, he was off somewhere else, supposedly overslept. So some of the men came across the small bridge, Stirling Bridge, had to retreat, and then they got word that maybe Wallace wanted to talk about peace and surrender, so they came across, and it was at that moment that William Wallace sent back a very famous quote: "We are not here to make peace, but to do battle and liberate our kingdom. Let them come, and we will prove this in their very beards." Meaning, let's bloody fight, lads. Come on, lads. Let's bloody get down to it. I didn't realize you can see Stirling Castle from here as well. That's Stirling Castle. And they waited. Andrew Murray and Sir Wallace waited at the top of the hill until they came across. They could only go across the bridge, which we'll go to now. This is Stirling Bridge. Now, this isn't the actual original one. The original one was a very small and wooden bridge. I believe they did some archaeological excavations, I think in 2003 or more recently. Supposedly they found the foundations of the old bridge, but this has been rebuilt and is named the Old Stirling Bridge. But the original one, the wooden bridge, you could only get like 2 horsemen across it, riding abreast. So no matter how big and how large the English forces were, all their troops were slowed down because of how little people they could get across at once. Yeah, somewhere down here they did excavations and found the old foundations. Not sure where, but can you imagine being pushed into this with your full set of armor on? Like, you're gone, bro. You are gone. There's a decent current in that river. So you can see it's such a nice land layout to picture the battle and how it went the way it did. Small, tiny wooden bridge who supposedly once a decent amount of their army got across, the legend is that a Scottish troop pulled out a major key part of the bridge, so it collapsed. We don't know because there's no real records of it, just a few inscriptions and poems written about the battle. So over time things can get exaggerated out of proportion. Even William Wallace himself, in some poems, he was a tall man, especially considering the size of that sword, right? But some poems write him to be like over 7 foot, but I heard that he was around 6'4", so pretty big lad, you know. You don't realize how big this river is until you get right up next to it. It's huge. Nice bridge. So the English troops funneled down with only 2 horsemen getting across at once. And slowly they come across, and that's when a majority of them are over. William Wallace and his troops and Andrew Murray come with their forces to sort of block them off. So we'll go back to the battleground, continue the story. Once majority of their troops had come across, they came out of here. The Scottish and their forces came out of the bushes, came around and basically flanked them. You can see it from the drone video. They pushed them back, constantly pushing them towards the river, which you imagine in full armor, if you fall in the river, you're gone. Like, so a lot of people would have drowned. And because of how narrow the bridge was, like I said, that cut the troops in half. Half the English force is on the other side, on the south side of the river, and the other half or more is in this little crazy pocket, getting flanked and getting pushed towards the river. And they were able to just demolish them. Wallace and Andrew Murray were able to demolish them. I believe Murray died in that battle. He got injured, and I think he succumbed to his injuries later on. But bro, what a spot, bro, for a rugby field, man. Crazy. Imagine all the Scottish lads here, like, you know, you're all 16, 17, 18, just full of energy and testosterone. For Scotland! That's sick. That is epic. What a spot, lad. Crazy monument, huh? What a beautiful monument. You can see it from a mile away when you're driving up to it. I love stories like this. I love these kind of stories. It shows and it like makes you understand the mindset of the country, right? They're just tough, resilient bastards that never wanted to really succumb to the English. Although a year after this battle, Edward I himself led a bigger invasion in and was able to overthrow the Scottish. But this was the moment, man. This was the torch of the war of Scottish independence. This is when that torch was set on fire. Such a cool ground. It's like you look at it like a gladiator pit. That's how I sort of envision it. So that is the concise story of the Battle of Stirling Bridge, Wallace's most famous moment. Now, like I said, only within a year later, Edward came back and led the campaign himself back into Scotland and defeated Wallace at another battle. I'm not sure what that battle's name is. And he avoided being captured, but only for a short time. He was then caught, taken down to London, and bro, he had a brutal death. Dragged in by a horse, stripped naked. He was hung, cut down before dying from I don't even know how to say that word. Sophistication? That's definitely so wrong. Can't say the word properly. You know what I mean. And then he was disemboweled and his head was cut off, put on a stake, dipped in tar, and I believe it was put at the London Tower, I think, to sort of parade around. Crazy, bro. He faced a horrible death, man. But all that did was really cement his name in history. I got no idea what this stuff says. It's all polished down. It's all gone. The Battle of Stirling Bridge, 11th September 1297. Can't see it. Someone needs to re-engrave this. Cannot see it. And after Wallace's death, there was another man named Robert the Bruce in the early 1300s who carried on with Andrew Murray, or Moray, and William Wallace's vision. So Robert the Bruce has his own incredible story. Stories like this are so good. They're so important for countries. Like, you need stuff to be proud of, you know? Once you have nothing to be proud of, or if you're made to not be proud of your country's history, that's when things get very dangerous, because then no one stands up for what's right or stands there to protect the country that so many of our older generations died for, man. Have to be proud of your country, man. Don't let people try and make you not proud. Oh, the big movement, seems like there was a big connected movement to make the British people not proud of their history. Very dangerous. Now look at the state of the UK. Alright, I'm fiending for a meal. I'm very hungry. I've been told Chillo's has very good burgers. Scottish burger, you reckon? I don't think it's Scottish, depends who owns the actual shop, but first burger in Scotland. Fiending for a burger, man. I love burgers. So let's go sus. It has been raining a little bit, so we timed it well. That's why I've been trying to move quickly, because don't want to get caught in a big storm. And then we got to speak to Sam. We got to work out where Sam is and go from there. All right, guys, what do we choose here? Are you guys a beef? Are you a beef burger person or a chicken burger person? Some countries have terrible beef, but because I am in Scotland, the UK, the beef is good. And I've missed beef, so I think I've got to go beef. Cuz, have a look at the size of this thing, mate. This thing is massive. We got fries, peri peri. Apparently, this is brewed in Scotland. It's a Scottish drink. I've never had it before. So we're trying. Beautiful view of the Porsche. Cheers, guys. Cheers to Wallace. Legend. Never had that. What is that? Secret recipe since 1901. It says as you drink it, supposedly you might turn more Scottish. Your accent gets progressively worse, man. Scotland! I'm not sure what this is. It's like a mixture between Fanta. I'd say Fanta and like lemonade. I don't know how to explain that. That's new flavors for me. Peri peri salt, so good. It's been a long time since I've had a burger. Let me take this off. Take the stand off so I can put it here and show you. It's gonna be full dirty. Rubber. Look at this, bro. Holy shit. How do I wrap my lips around that? Well, brother, I can't get my mouth around it. That is a burger. That is a burger. Thank you to whoever recommended me this place. Oh my god. Oh my god. Cuz. That is how you make a burger. Look at the size of this beast. It's like half a cow. I think this was, I forget how much it was. It was, it's called the Godzilla. It was 16, 17 pound. My goodness, man. That's the biggest burger I've ever had in my life. And I've had a lot of burgers. I love burgers, bro. So good. That's crazy. Some people don't like them crazy saucy, but mate, load me up. Load me up with sauce. I think there's 3 patties in it. I'm triple patty. lettuce. Whoa. I'm losing beef. I just need to get it in my mouth. That was crazy. That was a banging meal, man. Banging. The beautiful Scottish streets. The architecture, bro, is so good. So good. These like cathedrals and churches and stuff are phenomenal. I love them. Like, look at this. Gonna get wet, but look at this, brother. That is just beautiful, man. How can you not want to be Christian in these countries, you know? All of these battles too, King Edward I and I went the wrong way, Mamacita. King Edward I and William Wallace, they were all Christian. It's pretty crazy that, imagine how powerful it would have been if they were all one back then, you know, but the greed of money, people not sticking to following the real true purpose of Christianity or being a Catholic, you know. It's funny. There's always so much division with Christians and Catholics and Orthodox. Imagine how powerful we would all be if we were all one. I got about an hour drive to get to a camp spot where Sam is. I saw this beautiful building, so I wanted to pull over and get a video. I'm still about an hour away from Loch Lomond, where Sam's camping. It's gonna be dark and wet by the time I get there, so I'm not gonna show you that. You'll see it next video. So thanks for watching, man. Peace out. Remember to press the like button, it's free and helps me.